All right, so because I've traveled x this way and y this way, that sets a distance from the y-axis and an x-axis. So which coordinate location would you like to label next?
Negative x, y.
Okay, so if I travel 1 unit x to the right, I must travel 1 unit x to the left, which makes it negative x. How far up do I want to go?
Y.
The same distance, y. So how do you get here? This is still negative x to the left, the same distance. But instead of going up y, I want to go down y. And what about in the fourth quadrant over there?
X negative y.
That's still 1x to the right, and then 1y down. That kind of makes sense?
Negative.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm asking, because I'm asking right now just to label it. I'm not asking for any mathematical processes yet. Okay? So we have to be comfortable naming things to make them happen. All right, I'm going to draw one more for you. I didn't do too great or too hot with this last period. So for argument's sake, what shape is that? That is, by definition, a parallelogram. I would like for you to label that parallelogram's coordinates not using any numbers. No, they would not be.
0, 0.
Perfect. Take the gimme from the get-go. This is the location 0, 0. Is that a number?
No.
It's the absence of a variable. Okay? X 0. So we went x units to the right, and we went 0 units up. That is critical. That sets the rest of your math. Here's my question. How long is this part of the parallelogram? It is x units long. Does that make sense? Because from here to here is how long? X. So how long does this have to be? This also must be x. All right. Tim, do you have something?
I was going to say something, but I realized it was wrong.
Cool.
Good job.
Now, we must continue to knock out the top of the parallelogram.
X, y.
What? Okay, if I go x, y, that is traveling x units to the right and y units up. That puts me right here. Do I need to be there? No.
No, you want to be x, y right there.
Not helping.
Good job.
Go ahead, Tim.
3 halves x, y.
Can you use x, y squared? No, that doesn't make sense.
Okay, so here's my question. Where are you trying to get to? Here or here?
There.
Let's start here.
Okay.
Okay?
Let's start here.
Right? This point right here is somewhere between x and 0. Is it x long? Is it 0?
No, it's half x. It's z.
How about let's use z? That's a great idea, Tim. I went over z units.
It wouldn't be enough y.
Huh?
It'd be y, right?
Z, y.
It could be j. It could be p. Could be q. Could be a. Could be b. It's whatever you feel like. So I went over z. How far up did I go?
Y.
Y. So you have just established that the distance from here to here is what distance? Z long. So if I go from here, z, and then this much, what is the combination of those distances? Z and x. How far up did I go? You went over z to get to the first vertex, and you travel over x more units, and you become z plus x. Cool, right?
No.
That's cool.
I'm asking if you understand what's going on.
Sort of.
I do.
Sort of. I hate
And we put another letter.
Wait. I'm so confused.
I
About
don't get
what?
how the last one. Last
about the z plus x.
Yeah. I don't know how that
Okay,
Why
so
can't you just put ZX?
because that's z times x.
Oh.
So
Wait,
look,
Z-
if I put legit numbers, let's say from here to here you made this a 3. Let's say x is 3. How long is this piece?
3.
3. So how long is this piece?
3.
3. Now, let's say you went over 1 unit to the right and you went 2 units up. That would be 1 and 2. So if you want this 3 down here to match up to this 3 right here, what is 1 plus 3? 4. So because I take the numbers away, you lose all your marbles. It's still 4, but it's the first step plus the second step, or z plus x. Do I have to use z? Can I use b? Can I use j? Can I use q? It doesn't matter what you choose. Okay? Really weird. Is it starting to feel a little more comfortable?
How does that?
Starting to.
How does that work?
What do you mean?
I'm like so
Because
confused, but I can't
the other
explain
sides,
how.
what is that? Oh, those would be 2 also, right?
So
Um,
the distance from here to here is 2,
the first parallel
but you're asking about these right here.
lines.
That would be
You don't have to solve. We don't have to
a
solve.
squared plus b squared equals c squared. You could just use the distance formula if you had numbers. But you can also do it with letters. We'll get there in a minute. Oh, you're so quiet today.
Well,
Because you don't. I guess.
So let me. What shape?
This takes a lot of thinking.
It does, right? I'm asking you guys just to think today. What about this guy? Hey, this point is 0, 0.
Other one, X.
Okay, I'm just going to go with something a little different today. A, 0. He went over A units, and he went up 0 units. Does this base and this base have any relationship?
BY.
The parallel, Matt said they have no distance relationship.
BY.
So you want to go over B and up Y.
Bye.
Okay, so would it be A plus
H.
B?
Where's
Can
A?
you just put CY since they have no relationship?
A is this long, and then so that's like saying A is like this, right? And then B is like this long. That's like B is like this. Do I want to be way over here?
No, so it should be A minus Y.
you could just say
Can you just they have put zero
Oh, this
relationship?
is so confusing.
They have 0 mathematical relationships. The only thing that matters is that these are both a 0 slope, and this is a 0 slope. So, okay, I think this might clear it up.
oh, dang it.
Zero, zero.
Okay, so this is the location 0, 0.
X zero.
Yes, Matt.
You want to go x over x up 0?
Sure.
Okay, that means this is now defined as over x up 0. So, does this change left or right here? So how far over do I get to this point? I go over x, still. How far up do you go? Okay? Doesn't matter what the letter is. Now, this one does matter.
So Z
How long is this piece?
longer than the top one.
This one is x.
Yeah.
How long is this piece?
B.
Wait, no,
I don't. We don't.
we don't have any.
How long is
The other point.
Huh?
The other.
Just start shape right
I don't
Oh,
know.
I
okay.
got more confused than I was before.
Okay.
Wait.
Do okay.
It would still be K as the second point.
Do okay.
It is still K high.
Do O. Okay.
Yeah.
Then it would know.
It would become 0, but do O.
It's not.
Do J.
It's not.
Do a J.
No, do.
It would have to be something minus X, right? Because
What? J minus X.
this is X, right? I have to take the length of this line and subtract something from it. So what if I told you that this length right here was B?
So X minus
It would be X minus B.
Did you not
Why do we-
define it as a
Wait, do we seriously?
I just for simplicity's sake. So the ones in the book, let's roll into these ones. These are planned out. Most of it is there. I'm asking you to fill in the blank. Okay? This is a rhombus. A rhombus has
8 sides.
4 congruent sides, right? Take the gimme while it's there.
0, 0, 0.
M is at 0, 0. Now I moved over A and up 0 to get to this location. You would have to define N before you define Q.
Yeah.
Because
It
it must be
is.
the same.
Oh,
It must
so
be A, B, right? Or you
Just do C.
That is it. You just define a new variable.
Sick, dude.
And then the second one would be
negative
C.
C.
So because you went up C, you went over C and up B, you must travel the same over C and down B.
C can't get B.
But if it's negative b, then it's negative 1b. That's the number.
It's negative B. It is the opposite of B.
But can't you say, wouldn't it be defined as negative 1b if you were to put it in like a calculator?
Oh,
opposite
get
B.
destroyed.
It's the opposite of whatever B is. Okay? Now, I want you to watch how much you don't understand. The purpose behind this, if it is a rhombus, its diagonals are defined as perpendicular. So that means that the slope of this line, if I was going to find slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? I have y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. That is 0 over a. Okay? The same thing would happen for this diagonal. y2 minus y1, negative b minus b, over x2 minus x1, that is c minus c. That becomes negative 2b over 0. Is a 0 slope and an undefined slope perpendicular? Doesn't matter what you use as long as it makes arithmetic sense. This is where it's going. Draw the shape, label the vertices with letters, then mathematically apply quadrilateral properties. Now that I have your attention, okay? Did I completely lose you? There's no numbers there. But math still works. This is a 0 slope. Because 0 divided by 1 is 0. This is an undefined slope because 2 divided by anything or 2 divided by 0, 0 is undefined. So undefined and 0 are descripted as perpendicular. Let's try it again. Let's just celebrate the fact that we can label shapes with no numbers. Go ahead. Let me know what you got.
Okay, so wait.
Alana, go ahead.
Be y0 or j0, whatever it is.
D,
No, b.
B.
Okay.
No,
Okay, you want to say, go ahead, Alana, you said what? 0.
Wait. Yeah, 0y.
Okay, so if you choose 0y, you have established that this length is y tall. So how tall is this length? It has to be y tall.
It's XY.
So what is this length here? X. So So you have to go over x and up y, and you get the coordinate x, y. Does that make sense? Okay, so now that's all I'm asking for. That's the base layer of what I need. Go ahead, Tim.
You use a number symbol as a variable.
No, because it's not a variable.
Okay.
This is a parallelogram. Can we figure out the missing letters? So notice what they have already. They have 0, 0, over x up 0, nothing, and k and m.
K plus M, K plus X.
So how long is this line?
That's X.
Okay.
So KX.
So that also establishes that this line is how long?
X.
X long.
X.
How far is this vertex from the y-axis? It's k. So
K.
k plus x is the distance to the right,
K plus X.
M.
and it's up m. I'm trying to be patient. Trying. So here's where this is going. I might ask you to prove that that shape is a parallelogram, but I will give you a very specific process for your proof. I would like for you to prove that the diagonals bisect each other. Got nothing to say now?
No.
So when I'm asking you diagonals bisect each other, that is me asking you to remember that they cross each other at each other's midpoints. So if you were able to find the midpoint of OQ, and you were able to find the midpoint of PR, and they were the same midpoint, they would bisect each other, and it would be a parallelogram. Yes, sir?
Couldn't you find the distance between O and Q and P and R and then use the midpoint formula?
That's too much work. Why would you find the distance and cut it in half? If they share a midpoint, they bisect each other. You're asking to find the length of the diagonal and verify that that wouldn't work. That would say, like, if this was 10, what's half of that?
5.
If this is 3, what's half of that?
1.5.
Doesn't work. Their distance, their diagonals are not congruent. The diagonals bisect. So you have to remember what the midpoint formula is. Right? To find the midpoint of PR, that's adding the x's together, x plus k divided by 2, and add the y's together, m plus 0 divided by 2. That is the midpoint of PR. Add the x's divided by 2, add the y's. I gave that to you in your notes yesterday. It said the midpoint formula. If I was going to find the midpoint of Q and O, x1 plus x2. y1 plus y2. Do they have the same midpoints? Yes. So by definition, they are parallelograms because they share a midpoint. That means their diagonals bisect each other. Are we using numbers? No.
Well, the two.
Well, so the 2 is part of the midpoint formula, not part of the coordinate geometry that we're doing. So this says that will work for any shape in the world. Yeah? You feeling it? You feel the love? So why is this so difficult?
Because we've never worked like this before, and it's hard for our brains to adjust.
So your brains are trying to do new math with no numbers based on concepts you were not already professionals at. You were like iffy with quadrilateral properties. You have to remember all of them. You have to remember what they are. You have to remember formulas you haven't used necessarily. You do all of this with no numbers.
Yay.
Let's keep practicing. This is a rhombus.
Well,
Negative
the other one's A.
So if I went A to the right,
It has to be A to the
I have to be negative A to the left.
and then
Zero, negative B.
And then 0, negative B.
Just all clicked.
Okay, so let me take your confidence here. Now, if this is a rhombus, the distance between the points should be congruent all the way around.
Yeah.
Is there any way I can count and make right triangles right now?
yeah.
There are no grids because B is an undefined variable. B could be 10, B could be 1. However you live your life. So if I was to find the distance from here to here, it should be the exact same distance as here to here. I would do that 4 times all the way around the shape, and it should always be the same. I'm going to try it once for 2 sides and see if they match. Do I have any numbers right now?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to use the distance formula. So x2 minus x1 squared plus y2, did I do that right? My bad. x2 minus x1. y2 minus y1. That would create the distance between those 2 points. Okay, what is a minus 0? What is 0 minus b?
Negative B.
Okay, what is a times a?
It's 2A.
2A.
No, it's A squared.
A squared.
A squared. A times a is a squared. What is negative b times
Negative B squared.
B squared.
No, it's just B squared.
It's just b squared.
C squared.
Okay, so I have established that the distance between y and z is the square root of a squared plus b squared. Yuck, right? Just leave it just like that. You've simplified as much as you can. So now I'm going to go in red and find the distance between x and y. So if I do the same distance formula, x2 minus x1 squared. y2 minus y1 squared. Negative a minus 0 is negative a. 0 minus b is negative b. Negative a squared is a squared. Negative b squared is b squared. Do they have the same distance?
Yes.
They were completely random variables, but they have the exact same arithmetic distance. So if I was to do that 2 more times, I could prove that shape is a rhombus by proving it has all 4 sides of it congruent. You kind of see what we're doing? Can we start the last one and be done? Please, dear Jesus, yes, let me
Yes.
stop talking. All right.
Do we have another lesson?
This is your last lesson. So this is on that paper that I gave you. I think it's number 3 at the bottom. And I left you guys maybe enough space to write in there. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Okay, so look, I would like to entertain questions on this. And I would like for it to help you understand what's going on. If at some point you have a valid question and I can answer it, please ask it. If you're just going to talk, I don't want to hear you.
Sir.
So, in this question, it says, given ABCD is a trapezoid. Any questions about that? It says, prove that the length of a median, XY, is 1/2 the top plus the bottom. You remember using that? Top plus bottom divided by 2 equals the length of the midsegment. So now we're going to prove this algebraically with no numbers. So they should work every time, all the time. So if I'm going to prove this, I need to know three things. I need to make sure the top plus the bottom divided by 2 equals the length of the line in the middle. I need to know three lengths. The length of the top, or the length of the bottom, or the length of the one in the middle. Where do you want to start? I'm asking, like, we have to find a length of something.
The bottom.
Okay? How long is the bottom?
2A.
It goes over 2A. Cool? So how long is the bottom? 2A. You could use the distance formula to verify that, but it's much easier just to count over 2A. Cool? So I know right now that AB equals 2A. I have one length established. Can we find the length of the top?
Yes.
It's 2D plus 2D.
No, it's
Minus
2A plus 2D.
2D minus
2D minus 2D.
Yes. How do I get from here to here? How far is that? That's 2D. From the y-axis to that point is 2D to the right. But I want to eliminate this piece, which is how long? 2B. So the top, DC, is the whole length, 2D, minus that one piece, 2B.
So can't you just put DB or
Huh?
D minus B?
No, it is 2D minus 2B. You can't just, there is no, like, you can't do any simplification because there's not another side of the equation. No, easy answer, no.
Okay.
All right, so I have the top is 2D minus 2B. Have we done any sort of crazy mathematical stuff yet? All right, I still have to figure out how long the middle one is. Huh?
Why did you add them together?
What?
Yeah, divide.
Add what together and divide by 2?
A, B, and D, C.
No, I'm trying to verify the formula works. I can't force the formula to work.
Wait, what?
So they're saying like this. Let's say the top was 10 and the bottom was 20. They're saying, well, add them together, divide it by 2 and get 15 and make it 15. No, I want to have 15 there already and verify the formula works every time.
Wait, yeah.
There is a way to find out how long this line is. Go ahead, Tim.
It says it on the paper.
What does it say?
It says 1/2 DC time or 1/2 times DC plus AB.
I understand that the formula is 1/2 times the top plus the bottom.
But he wants us to.
It says to prove that.
I want you to prove it.
He wants us to prove that the formula works.
I want you to prove it. So you need all the information. You need to plug it in and say, hey, it does work. Isn't there a hint on there? Have we used the midpoint formula yet?
No.
How would the midpoint formula help us?
It would make us find that.
The midpoint formula, a median is created by connecting
Yeah, I have it in my folder.
midpoints. So if I was able to find the coordinate location of this midpoint and the coordinate location of this midpoint, I would be able to find the distance between those two midpoints. What? 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 Okay, you use the midpoint formula. So x1 plus x2
divided by 2, y1 plus
0
y2
plus
divided by
2b divided by 2, comma, 0 plus 2c.
Let's go.
So that's using the midpoint formula, x1 plus x2 divided by 2, or half of the x's and half of the y's. So what is 2b's divided by 2?
B.
A B.
And a C.
And then 2 C's divided by 2 is a C. So instead of going over 2 B's and up 2 C's, you're going over 1 B and up 1 C.
So M equals DC.
So the midpoint equals BC. That is one of my numbers. Right? I still need to find out the distance of this one.
That would equal DC. Just guessing,
You think it's DC?
most likely.
Okay, let's see what happens. We'll use the midpoint formula. X1 plus X2 divided by 2. 2A plus 2D divided by 2, comma, Y1 plus Y2 divided by 2. That leaves you with A plus D, comma, C. Okay, we're almost there, guys, I promise. So to get to this location, it's go over A plus D and go up C. To get to this location, it's go over B and go up C. So how long is it from here to here? A plus D. And I want to eliminate this one small piece right here.
So it's A plus D minus B.
Good. So the last line, or that's the midpoint line. Is it labeled on yours? XY? XY is equal to the whole length, A plus D minus C. I have 3 lengths established. Yes?
C.
Now it's my job to prove the formula works. The formula is that the midsegment, XY, is equal to 1/2 the sum of the top plus the bottom. That's written on your paper, right? Plug in what you have. What is XY?
A plus D minus C.
Oh, it should be B, right?
Okay, good.
My bad, bro. That's a B. A plus D minus B. That is the length of this piece. How long is DC?
2D.
Plus and all you guys should be cheering ecstatically.
Hold up. Yay!
Okay, so I'm telling you that half of the right side is equal to the left side. How many D's do I have over here? 2 D's. What's 1/2 of 2 D's? 1 D. What is 1/2 of negative 2 B's? What is 1/2 of 2 A's?
1A.
So no numbers exist, and you're able to math your whole way through it.
Wow, where's
Look at how much work that was. Did I actually make you use the distance formula? I asked you guys to reason through it. All right? So here's how this is going to shake out. Tomorrow I'm going to ask you guys to do 1 paper. Now it's 2 papers. The first paper is 6 questions. There's numbers on it.
Yay!
You get to do midpoint, distance, slope to say this is a square, this is a rectangle, this is a rhombus, this is a kite, whatever you want to do. Count, math, calculator, however you want to do that. And then the second part of that will be draw this shape over A of B, over C of D, whatever it is. That leaves the only assignment you'll have to do is to finish this one. 2 questions. 1, 2. Okay, there are 2 questions for you there. So I do not think that you'll be able to finish all of that